Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm Tom Christiano. Well, tonight is our 21st anniversary show, which means every year we ask the town manager of Chelmsford to come on the show, and he graciously agrees to do so. And we ask the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, the school committee, the planning board, and the finance committee. And they all have graciously agreed to be on the show tonight. So we have a wonderful panel to talk just about entirely about town issues. So with me tonight, we have George Dixon. How are you, George?
Tommy, how you doing?
Good, good. Your 12th time on the show. It's a dozen finally, George.
Yeah, think it's a dozen?
Yeah.
No, that'll be next.
And as everyone knows, George is the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. Again, how many times have you been chairman, George?
It's my third time.
Third time, nice, nice. And how many years have you been a selectman?
It's my 8th year.
8th year, nice, nice. And so you're also a town meeting representative, right, George?
15 years, I think.
15 years,
Yeah.
wow. And also a liaison and on many committees, right, George?
Yeah, a few.
A few,
You know, housing.
Close to 100 years.
Yeah, yeah. LRTA, the Housing Advisory Board, the Council on Aging,
Right.
water departments, except for the center, which Ms. Wojcik is the liaison for the center.
Oh, I see, the center one, yeah.
And you know, a couple others. There's
Right. Speaking
wherever
of,
they're needed. You know.
Yeah. Speaking of water, every time the news comes on about Flint, Michigan,
Yeah.
I think how thankful I am that I live in a community with very clean water
Yeah.
that I drink throughout the day.
We're very fortunate, but I think on our next meeting, we're having a report done by the Center Water District, and their engineer will be on, and I guess I saw John Harrington today, and he said that he's going to give a long talk about different poisons and whatever, regarding like Flint, Michigan, that type of situation. So.
But our water is good here in
Oh,
Chelmsford,
yeah.
though, right? Basically,
Yep.
though, right?
All three districts.
That's great.
We have
We're so
plenty. We have
lucky.
pretty good supply too.
Great, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here, George. We
Oh,
have
my
a lot to
pleasure.
talk
Thank
about
you.
what's going on in the Board of Selectmen now, and it's always so active, right? So
Yeah, we try to be. You know.
you're going to meet in the summer too. Do you meet once a month in the summer or
Well,
something?
we're going to try that this year, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
we've always met every other week, but I think, they're so short, and we can always convene
Yeah,
with 2 days' notice. We can,
Yeah.
if something special comes up or something very important. But
You don't leave town anyways, do you?
no, I don't even have any gas money. But if you want to take up a collection, I mean.
Well, that'll be good, George. Well, thanks for being here again,
my
George.
pleasure.
You've been on our anniversary shows
Right.
in the past,
Yep.
which is great. So I'll show everybody some of the pictures we have later that I have in my house of every anniversary show for like the past 12 years. Thanks, George.
Thank
and we
you.
have Al Thomas with us today, the chairman of the school committee. Thanks, Al.
Oh, my pleasure to be here.
So, and you also were the chairman last year, right? So
Yes.
you were on a show from last year, the anniversary show. This is your 8th time on the show. So we're having a good time,
I'm way
right?
behind. I got to do a lot. To
Yeah.
myself.
So we'll talk all about what's going on at the school
Sure.
committee, your visit to the State House, you met with the governor,
Yeah.
the state reps, the Speaker of the House. So we got a lot to talk about today.
That'd be
Any
good.
other committees you're on? Oh, you're a town meeting representative. We sit together
Yeah,
sometimes.
I'm really
you said.
active in Rotary and
That's right. yeah,
church
yeah.
and a few things.
Speaking of the Rotary, remember I went to take pictures there about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the high school students, and they were doing this wonderful charity thing.
Yeah, Stop
for
Hunger
putting
Now.
together the food for those who were hungry. And it was so, how many, there were maybe 80, I would guess, 70, 80 students there.
Yeah,
And it
probably
was
a little more
wonderful.
than that. But they packaged over 12,000 meals in an hour.
12,000,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Rotary funded it, and it was the second year we've done it, and the kids love it. And they bring a big gong, so every time you get 1,000, somebody gets to ring the gong, and the place goes bananas.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
figured out how to get everybody excited.
Yeah. They were, it was great. I was so glad I went there and take pictures for the Chelmsford News group on Facebook. And they were wonderful. They all looked pretty happy, too.
Oh,
They were so
yeah.
energetic, as high
Yeah.
school kids are quite
Sure.
often.
And it was on the half day. I mean, they were on their own time. This
That's
was
right, yeah. That's why it was really wonderful. They sacrificing their own time
Right.
on a day. So I asked you, maybe if you could let me know every year, and I'll try to
Sure.
photograph them every
Oh, yeah.
year.
That'd be great.
Thanks, Al, for being here again.
My
And,
pleasure.
and we have my friend Henry Parlee with us. We get for the second time on the show.
Yep. Yeah,
And-
I feel like a newbie.
Yeah, and Henry is now the chairman of the Chelmsford Planning Board, right, Henry?
Yep. Yep.
Great. And we'll talk about how things are going there.
Yeah, we got a little bit of activity coming along. There's a couple things in the pipeline.
But you're justified if you're a little tired today because you were up most of the night last night, right?
Yeah, I got
because we had this frost come in.
Yeah, I had about 3-4 hours sleep. That was about it for the
my
night.
God.
So
Because when frost comes in, because you have your
We-
farm there,
we irrigate all the strawberries, protects them from,
wow.
protects the crop, keeps the blossoms from being burnt off from the frost. And it's something we've been doing for a long, long time.
And that works, huh? To put the water in there. I would never have guessed that.
I went to the supply place in Lexington, and we've been buying stuff off them for close to 70 years now.
70 years, wow.
Yeah, so that's a long time.
And you have a big farm over there, right? It's like so many acres,
We
right?
have 40.
40 acres, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Beautiful place over there.
Yeah, it keeps me busy.
And you have all kinds of, some nice animals. Of course, you and your wife raised some dogs, right? The
Jack Russells.
Jack Russell
Yeah.
Terriers.
I have nothing to do with it. That's her.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's all hers?
yeah.
And your daughters, maybe?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But that's going well, right? And then you have chickens, you have horses, right?
Yep, yep.
Any other?
We got pets. We got
Pets,
pets.
nice.
We're not, it's not, when I was a kid, we had 10,000 birds in Chelmsford.
10,000
Chickens.
birds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking of parakeets
He's a
or
farmer.
something.
Yeah. Canaries, yeah.
Now we have turkeys.
Oh, yeah. Probably more than 10,000.
Your family had 10,000?
Yeah.
That is huge.
Yeah.
To me, it seems, wow.
Yeah.
So you never ran out of eggs, I guess. That's
No,
for sure.
no. Our life was, picking up
Nice.
eggs and shoveling chick manure. That was about it.
Yeah. It's good fertilizer, though.
Oh, that's excellent.
For the Italians, love that chicken manure. I remember growing up, they used to have it. They used to have these little plots all around the neighborhood, and sometimes you'd smell it. It smelled terrible, like.
My family actually had an egg route all the way through Chelmsford and Lowell. And way back in the day when my father was young, they used to bring chickens with them. And the people would pick out the chicken they wanted, and then you'd bring it back for them, ready for them to cook.
Wow. Oh, nice, nice.
Different world.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for being here, Henry.
Yep.
Okay. And for the first time on the show, we have my friend Jim Clancy. How are you, Jim?
Thank you. Well, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm so glad you could make it on the show, and because you have a baby coming up soon, right?
Yes.
Your first baby, is it?
Yeah, our
You and
first
your wife?
baby. Yep.
Nice, nice.
A little baby girl due June 5th, but we'll see if that happens.
Do you have a name picked out yet?
We do, but we're not telling
Oh,
anybody.
yeah,
yet.
yeah. So nice. So in about 3 weeks, she's due, right? But you never know with things like that.
Who knows?
So,
Yeah.
but I asked you to turn off your cell phone. I hope you did it, right? So
It's
we could get through this hour.
It's on vibrate.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah. So Jim is the acting chairman of the Chelmsford Finance Committee, and we'll talk a little about that right after I introduce Paul Cohen. You're also a town meeting rep, or
I am.
on any? Great, great. What precinct, Jim?
Precinct 2.
Precinct 2, nice. And are you on any other committees you want to mention in town, or any other groups?
Not in town, but I have a couple of groups I do through work. I'm the assistant treasurer of the Massachusetts Family and Probate American End of Court.
Oh, wonderful.
So
Yeah.
that takes up another chunk of my time too. So.
Could I ask, are you in finance or accounting for your work?
Well, actually, I'm an attorney,
I see.
and so I do a lot of real estate, family law, probate law, small business work.
Great.
So with all those different types of fields, like that, the finance aspect comes into it.
Nice. And do you have a place nearby where you look for local clients? We could mention that, or do you work for some other big company or something?
We're a small boutique firm. We're located on State Street, but I'm licensed in New Hampshire and Massachusetts,
Oh.
so anywhere in the area, really.
But State Street in Boston?
Yep.
So you go in how's the commute?
Well, today was not great, as you can tell from me getting here today. About an hour and a half out here on an afternoon. So
Wow.
it's commute can be interesting.
Wow. Well, maybe some days when they have these automated cars, you won't even have to pay
There you go.
attention. You can just go in your auto car and
Yeah.
tell them where to go. So, well, thanks for being here, Jim.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate it. And we also have on the anniversary show my good friend Paul Cohen, the town manager. How are you, Paul?
Great, Tom. Thanks for having me here again.
Thanks, and your 22nd time on the show. Paul's on our gold panelist list, as you can see here. These are people who've been on the show 20 times or more, and this is Paul's 22nd time. And also, this is Paul's 10th anniversary show. So every year we take photos of the anniversary show panel, and I make an 8x10 enlargement of it. And as you can see, Paul Cohen over here. And we have next to Paul Sue Carter, who was a chairman of the planning board. And then we have Kathy Duffett over there on the right, second to the right, She was a chairman of the school committee. And then there's Sam Chase on the right, just about get in the picture there, chairman of the Board of Selectmen. So that was in 2007, May 2007. And you've been gracious enough to come on every one of our anniversary shows since then. I really appreciate it, Paul. And also every December you come on our shows when we have Citizen of the Year awards, things like that. So thank you very much, Paul. I think every time I've asked you to come on the show, you've been gracious enough to do that. So how do you like Chelmsford? You still like Chelmsford, right, so far?
As you know, it's my 10th year. So,
Yeah,
so
nice. That's great, yeah.
Halfway there to Bernie's record of 20.
Yeah. And you almost,
I'm second in tenure at Chelmsford
yeah.
as town manager right now.
Oh, was he 20 years? Oh,
Yeah.
including everything, right?
Yeah,
And he
right.
was administrator or something for a while.
Exactly.
Wow, how's he doing? I haven't heard of
He's doing
from
good. I
Bernie
see
lately.
him every few months. He's still teaching and doing some consulting work, so he's doing well.
Teaching and consulting, nice, nice. Plus he has his pension,
He has his
whatever that
pension,
is,
yeah.
so that's nice.
Yeah.
I'll have to say hello to Bernie. He
Okay.
was on the show 26 times, by the
Right.
way. So
I'll get-
hopefully
all right,
4
I'll-
more
yeah, there you
you'll
go. A
catch
couple
up
more
there.
years, I'll catch up.
Well, I thought we might start the show with, I have this anniversary show photo from last year. And you could see Al Thomas is back again. He was chairman again of the school committee. Paul Cohen is back again. But you see over here on this side, we had Tom Gilroy, the chairperson of the finance committee. And unfortunately, Tom Gilroy passed away suddenly just about a month and a half ago. And so I thought maybe we could start the show with Jim Clancy and Paul Cohen or anybody else who might want to talk a little bit about your experiences and how Tom Gilroy did on the finance committee. He was a chairman up until recently, and that's why Tom took over as the acting chairman. And then you'll be voting on the new chairman probably in June, right, I think?
Yeah, so first of all, Tom was a great guy. I think everybody that knows him or worked with him or knew of him knew he had his opinions,
Yeah.
and he was staunch with his opinions.
Yes.
But you always knew where he stood, and he wasn't so stubborn that he would not listen to the other side and would be able to take on criticism and also change his mind on things. He's a great mentor, a great friend. I was on the board with him for 2 years, and he was the chair for about a year and a half during that time. It's a huge loss. I mean, he was a great guy, and it was really unexpected and sad to see him go.
Yes. Yeah.
As far as the Finance Committee going forward, as many know, Matt Hansen is now on the Finance Committee. And so what we had decided before town meeting is that we were going to take a reorganization vote when we reconvene after town meeting, sometime probably in late July, early August. We'll have a meeting sometime around to review either right before Tri-Board or in conjunction with Tri-Board the end of year budget for the school and for the town and stuff like that. And at that point in time, we'll do a reorg vote to reset the finance committee and get the new leadership in there and go from there. Because our job really focuses on the budget and also the town warrant articles that have to do with finance and fiscal responsibility. We're the watchdogs of the town. And so we give that advice by reviewing and having different departments come in. And that starts in earnest back late August, early September for fall town meeting.
I see. Jim, given that you have a young baby coming, are you interested in being the chairman of the finance committee? Can you say now one way or the other?
I think so. I have, like I said, been on there for 2 years now. I've been the vice chair for the same amount of time that Tom was the chairman. If it were an earlier meeting, say 6:30 or 7, it'd be a little tougher for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am. I think it's already built on my schedule anyway, so I would be. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Jim, thanks. Well, it's always good. I think you speak up at town meeting very well, very professionally, very clearly, and I think you're doing a nice job there
Well, thank you.
personally. So that'd be great if you run it for that. Can I ask, does anybody else have any comments about Tom Gilroy?
Yeah, I would just note that I think the thing about Tom was his love for the town of Chelmsford. As you said, he had strong opinions on national and world affairs and so forth, but when it came to the town of Chelmsford, he was a constant supporter of the town on any issue, in all issues.
On every issue.
And I think that's what we miss so far, and I think that's sort of what I'll always remember and cherish about Tom is his love for this town.
Yes, yeah.
I'd like to say something about Tom. I mean, he was a great family man as well. But as Jimmy pointed out, Tom could change his mind. And I'll give you an example. I was a liaison to the grinder pump committee, of which Tom was chair. And I think that when the whole grinder pump issue came up, Tom was on one side of the fence, and as the meetings, went along, and he studied the facts, he did a 180. He was not afraid to admit that he maybe had a different opinion than he previously had, and that maybe he had misjudged a few things. And I mean, he listened to the facts. He was a great. I really liked him. I mean, he was very well spoken. I mean, and he, like you said, you never had to guess what he was thinking.
That's for sure.
So which is
Yeah.
refreshing. In this game. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
But he'll be certainly missed. And his wife is a fantastic person
She
too. And
is,
she's
she's still working
yeah,
to check people
yeah,
in.
it's
And
the town
at
meeting.
town
She's been there
meetings,
a
I
long
saw
time.
her. I always ask her how she's doing.
Ellie's a
of
wonderful
course.
person.
She's a wonderful person, a
And,
friend of mine on
yeah.
Facebook, probably many of
Yeah,
us.
he loved his grandchildren tremendously and
Yes,
things like
yeah.
that. He was a great guy.
Yeah, nice guy, yeah. I was shocked, as were all of us. So it was a wonderful service at St. Mary's Church there, and a lot of honor guards throughout the town, at the church and at the town offices, and it was very nice, the respect we paid for Mr. Gilroy.
He'd be sorely missed.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering if maybe we could start with Al, you recently, no, I thought we could all reflect on the recent town meeting if we have any comments. I could say how quick and efficient it was. It was the most professional one I've been a rep for over 22 years, and I've never seen one run in a more businesslike and efficient manner as this past spring town meeting. Any thoughts on anybody? You could talk about articles or the whole meeting itself? Or?
My sense is it was a well-run town meeting. I think also it followed a similar experience we had at the fall town meeting back 6 months ago. In terms of we went in, got our business done, and went home rather efficiently and effectively.
Yeah.
I will venture to say that I don't think that will happen this fall, because I think, and why I say that is not in a negative, is we've got some major issues that this town is going to confront beginning this fall. That I think are going to take extended debate and discussion and really some wrestling with, and obviously a number of the people here at this table are involved with that. Al with the school facilities, they're wrapping up their work in August, and we anticipate something will be coming in terms of the future investment that's needed in our school facilities as we head into the what will be the third decade of the 21st century. And so that's going to take some serious consideration. It's probably going to involve a significant amount of money to advance the planning stage on that. So that's one item. The second item, and again, what Henry's involved with, is the whole rezoning and the 129 business corridor and how that's going to affect the town's future in terms of, the economy, in terms of, the companies that are going to be examining whether to locate there, and the whole question of amenities and type of zoning and whether it's a mixed use or not. Because of the fact a year from now, we'll be seeing the departure of Kronos and Mercury Computer. So they're going to be busy, and I think you'll see those articles at Fall Town Meeting as well. And again, that's a significant debate and discussion. So again,
Yes.
unlike what we've really had at the spring or last fall, and as George knows, we're involved also with the future of the UMass Lowell West Campus. In terms of what is going to become of that site. We know that the university is interested in the sale of that property, so they can take the revenue from that property and put it back into the university's infrastructure needs. So then the question becomes with the selectmen, again, planning board, others, how it affect the schools and so forth. What should be the plan for the community going forward in terms of what should go there, because something's going to happen there. And what role does the town have, whether it's with or without the housing authority, private market, and so forth. So those are three major issues following the whole lead of the town center, which is really going to be happening in the next month or so with the unveiling of a critical housing development at the Harvey property, right adjacent to the rail trail, where there's going to be a plan to construct 54 market rate rental units. Where if you go behind Brick House Pizza, where the ambulance building is,
Yeah.
and the
Harvey
that's
building.
the Harvey property. That is going to be redeveloped
So
into
you go
housing.
behind, there's a garage now with Trinity Ambulance.
Exactly,
That's
that
the Harvey building.
Building?
That building.
They're planning to build 54?
54 housing units. That plan is going to be
But-
presented in the next few weeks to the Center Village Master Plan Committee, the Planning Board, the Conservation Commission. It also involves a brook walk, and then it also leads to, again, that whole redevelopment. Also the money availability from the state in terms of the project. Also the future at the old mobile station where Rudy's was.
Is it 40B, Paul? Excuse me.
No, it's not. It's all market rate. All market rate rental
That's
units.
unusual these days.
Yeah.
That somebody to try to get in
Exactly.
54
54
market rate
rental
units?
rental
Wow.
units. Rental units, yeah. So
Wow.
that's obviously a major, the idea of putting people living in the downtown
Yeah.
and being walking to the rail trail, to the restaurants, to the common,
Yeah.
to the art center and so forth. So there's clearly a market
Are they
for
going
that.
to be apartments or condos? I'm
No,
sorry.
apartments, rental units,
rentals,
rental
yeah.
apartments.
Well, a lot of, especially elderly people, or other people who allow cars, say, for example, might love a place right centrally
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
located
they'll be there.
like that.
They'll be parking underneath from the preliminary
parking.
plans that we've seen as you
Right,
come
yeah.
in by Cushing Place. Because you remember, you got the topography there.
Yeah.
You can come in that way, parking underneath, and then 54 market rate rental
Wow.
units.
Well, that'll be a big change for me because I bike by there almost
Right.
every day.
Right.
I'm always looking in to see
Right.
what's going on with the ambulance.
Yeah, so when you look at the school facility needs, the zoning of 129, the West Campus, and again, the redevelopment in the center, I said fall town meeting is going to be quite different. And I think it's great for the community because when you look at those type of issues, it really is going to shape how this community functions and operates and its viability going forward for the next generation. And part of it, Tom, and I don't want to monopolize the time, but I'll be real quick, is the question becomes as we're in a period now where people are more mobile. You've got millennials, and when they're going to come out and where they're going to locate as a community, the question becomes how does Chelmsford compare to a Westford or a Billerica and other places, and so that's why these decisions are so critical.
Yes.
And obviously the paramount one that everyone talks about are the schools, and I think Al is very into his elbows with that right now, and that's probably going to be the biggest decision affecting this community.
Yes, thank
so I'll
you,
stop
Paul.
there.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Well, speaking of Al, you recently went to the State House, right? And
Yes.
you met with the governor. Our 4 state representatives all met with you. A contingent of mostly school committee members, right? And
Yeah, it's an
Sal
annual event.
Lapoli, Evelyn Thorne was there. Angie Toronto was there as well, though, right?
Yes.
And you, of course, and a few other people.
Yeah.
So how'd it go, Al?
It was a great day. It's an annual event, and the State House was busy because the budget discussions were taking place. So we weren't sure exactly what would be able to do, but Sal, because of his business connections and so forth, knows everybody there, and so we were able to get to see the governor right away, and we had decided to talk about a couple of issues when we had a chance to stand with the governor and the Speaker of the House. And so we talked about representation in the town, and we also talked about the challenge of dealing with special education when we get budgeted and we think we're all set, and then a couple of people come into town and we have a $250,000 to $500,000 deficit. And there's no control over it right now. So those are the couple of things that we stressed. And the governor was very attentive to what we were talking about. He's a unique individual. He uses the governor's office for photos, but he doesn't work there. He has a little desk down the hall, and he doesn't have a briefcase. He has a backpack, and he does things his own way. But he was very attentive, as was the Speaker of the House, and we addressed the same kind of concerns. The reps, we talked about everything. We talked about the $5 million and whether they're going to be able to get that. We talked about
For the redevelopment of the center?
Yeah, for the
Yep,
center.
so,
So it wasn't
walkway.
just education, but although that was obviously a major part of it. And
Chapter 70, you talked
even
about
though
kindergarten.
even though
Kindergarten.
we didn't talk with them about getting our own reps, obviously we did with the governor and so forth. But
And how was the
I-
governor? Was he sympathetic?
Well, he's I think somewhere along the line we were told maybe in 3 years when there was a bigger, more broad look at the redistricting or whatever, that would be the time to really bring it forward. But the representation from the 3 major people, as you know, Mr. Nangle, Representative Nangle only has 1 precinct, so he
Yeah,
doesn't,
precinct 4,
to
I
be
think,
blunt,
yeah.
he doesn't spend as much time with us. But the
Oh,
other
yeah,
3 are really attentive, and I think
Yes.
they're pretty knowledgeable about the challenges that Chelmsford faces, and they're pretty honest about what they can help with and what they can't help with.
Yes.
So it was a great day. And actually, the three reps, they keep in touch with us regularly through the years also. So, you know, that's a level of representation that we don't think about a lot of times when we're doing day-to-day business on the committee. But it's good to get your 2 cents in at that level, because the personal connection, I think, is important.
Yeah, thank you, Al. Thanks.
Al, if you don't mind, was Senator Barrett there with you?
Yeah, Senator Barrett came in when we were meeting with the reps. He didn't ask as many questions. He listens a lot. He always gives the view that he wants to understand everything, and that's because I've met with him. Well, I've been on this show with him, your show with him actually, and that's the way I see him proceed. He doesn't get involved an awful lot directly, but he seems to want to. Yes, he does ask follow-up questions and stuff so that he gets a handle on things.
Nice.
But
nice.
I'll be blunt. Compared to the three reps, the representation isn't quite as strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you,
Thank
Al.
you.
Thanks. George and Henry and others, what's going on with that overlay district on Route 129? Is there anything we could say about that right now? Are we ever going to have any restaurants over there by the 129 office buildings?
Well, I think there's a lot of, if I can speak.
Go ahead.
I mean, because Henry probably knows a little bit more about it than I do. Well, that's, but I think that this is probably one of the biggest issues that the town has ever faced. For so many years, this is my 8th year as a selectman, and every time somebody runs for Board of Selectmen, they're going to cut people's taxes, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. It's just not possible to cut people's taxes. What we have to do is increase revenues.
Yeah.
We have to come up with a plan, and we're not going to come up with that plan. It's going to have to be a joint plan amongst a lot of different people. We have to have a lot of ideas. And we have to discuss it with the public and explain why we're trying to do this. We're trying to increase revenues, which would stabilize the taxes. I think maybe the first year or two that we got started, we could maybe get a little bit of a cut, maybe not, depending how successful we are. But I think eventually and probably it may lead to a split tax rate down the road. But I'm not talking about, 1 year. You're probably talking 3 to 5 year plan to maybe get the whole thing going. But you first have to understand what you're trying to do, and then take it one step at a time.
Yep.
And hopefully the people will have patience and work with us, and a lot of the town people will get involved, attend a lot of the input sessions, and so that they really, not that people don't understand, they just don't have time sometimes. But this is something that's really, people should take the time to find out what's trying to be accomplished, because I think it's what's going to save our town and help do the other things that we want to do that we really we don't have the money to do. We're financially restrained at the moment.
Yeah.
And if somehow we can open up some purse strings by some moves, and I know Henry will do a great job with the planning board and help from the finance committee and the town manager and the economic development committee. And it's going to take, like it said, it takes a village. This is going to take the whole town to make, in my opinion, to make it happen.
Yeah, thanks.
Where we're at right now is we're just starting the discussion.
Right.
I mean, we're getting different boards, we're getting feedback, and everybody's got their own opinion.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to take it, you basically throw in a big pot, mix it all together, and you come out with a consensus, and you try to weigh things in and out. And that's basically where we're at right now. Mike Ray's back, where he was chair to start, is staying right with it.
Good.
And he goes to all the meetings, and we're trying to get a joint meeting together. We'll get different people together and hash it out, basically. I don't think it's gonna be a huge problem there. I think basically most of the community in that area doesn't have a problem with it. But but that's why we have the public hearings to get everybody's feedback.
Do you think there will be a restaurant, going in there or something, or two? Because some people complain if you're in these big offices building, you want to go out quickly for a quick lunch. It's good to have it very close to your office building, and maybe to have little luncheons for the groups once in a while.
It's been a hot topic already. It's already gone back and forth several times. You know, we have other restaurants. I'm not opposed to something being
I'm
over
not.
there,
That's
but we have to take and do the process and work it out and do exactly, we have to run the process.
Yeah.
If I can piggyback on that, I think this all starts out with, we had a discussion at Tri-Board meeting, I think it was in January, and we're talking about, you know, we need this, we need that, we want to lower taxes, we want to do right by the schools, and we have a lot of projects coming up with the schools. And the main thing we always go to is where the revenue source is. And we look at state funding. Well, state funding is not increasing, and I don't think anyone's going to hold their breath for that to happen. People can still pursue it, of course, but I don't think that's the correct avenue. The second source is property taxes. You look at property taxes, people are already complaining about the amount of taxes we pay, not just in our town, but in Massachusetts in general, and in the region in general. It's not going to decrease, and honestly, if we don't tax to the levy, the 2.5%, we don't get that first part, that state revenue coming back to us. So you look at the third thing that we can control, and that's going to be the revenue base. It's going to be the property tax base. And right now we're 20/80. 20 commercial and 80% residential. And if you increase the commercial percentage of that, that decreases the burden and stabilizes the taxes for the residents of the community. So you look at that and say, okay, well, how do we go about increasing that commercial tax base? And that's where this discussion has started, and through all the different boards. And it's looking at, okay, definitely 129, but overall the economic development of the community and the town in general, and say, how do we increase that commercial tax base? And that's where that amenity discussion, that the restaurant discussion comes in. It's okay. Well, if you look at 129 many years ago, it's full industrial. You can have anything come in under the zoning, but amenities. And you can't have that restaurant or that gym or something like that over there that would be a draw for businesses, because businesses are looking to bring in that talent, and you say the talent, okay, well, what do we have there to provide you besides our office building? And the answer, at least in that specific area, is not a whole lot right now. So that's why the discussion has started with the rezoning and bringing that ability to have those things like the restaurants, as you mentioned, into that area. It's going to be a process, and I think there needs to be a general consensus between all the main boards in town about how we go about doing that and where we head, especially with the planning board and how the zoning takes place. And of course, the selectmen will have to spearhead that. But we also need the school board in that as well, because you look at, okay, if we change the demographic there, if some developments for residents come in that area, you look at it and say, okay, well, how's that going to affect the schools? What's the net effect on the overall ability of the town to increase that revenue base?
Nice. Could I ask a quick question, Jim? Do you have any idea what the percentage is for business on Westford, Billerica, our surrounding towns that are similar?
I could speak to Billerica. It's 45-55 in Billerica.
45%
Yes.
commercial in Billerica. Wow.
They have reaped tremendous commercial development in the last several years. In fact, they're about $12 million under the Proposition 2.5 levy limit because of the commercial growth.
They are.
Wow.
Because they're further down Route 3 than we are. But it just goes to show you that if you have a sound commercial plan, you can provide that relief, and therefore they're not taxing residents up to the levy limit.
45% in Billerica. How about Westford? Do we have any idea?
Westford is...
Are they 35?
Yeah, no, we're 80-20. They're like 85.
Yeah, they're less than
87,
ours, I think.
87-13.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like
That's something,
87-13, yeah.
But they're starting to get more and
they're
more
starting to get
commercial,
more,
it
from what
seems.
they've done in the center and what they've done on the 110 corridor. And that's the model I think Jim is speaking to, is when you go down 110 in Westford, you see the commercial places, the Red Hat and so forth, but then you do have the 99 and other amenities on that business corridor.
yes,
And I think that's the model that they're trying to explore.
They have quite a few,
For 129 in Chelmsford.
I think that'd be
That
great.
mix.
personally.
We actually do have a development coming on 129. It's in front of us for the next meeting, which
Nice.
is this Sunny Acres, is putting a major 200 and some odd unit
Addition?
assisted living.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
So it's not like it's turning into a ghost town and it's evaporating.
Oh, no,
There is
no,
stuff
no.
going on over
In
there.
fact, didn't one of the candidates for selectmen this year talk about kind of higher office buildings there, maybe even 6 stories or something like that. Did I hear that correctly? And if so, do we have any plans for that?
I'm a planning board member, not a selectman, but
But,
now.
well, I mean, does it ever come up at the planning board? Or?
I've heard a little bit about that. That's more of an issue that you'd have to take. There's
Yeah,
a lot
but
of different.
there's no proposals for anything like that.
That would
right
take
now.
a lot of
George,
abilities.
Do you know what I'm talking about, George, on the selectmen?
Well, I heard, you know.
Some of them were talking about
Yeah,
things they've
so
had to
was
bring in
mentioned.
more commercial money for the taxes. But
I'm sure that the height limitation is a big factor. How high they want to go is.
Yeah.
I would guess that they're probably maybe 4 stories.
Yeah.
I'm
Do we
thinking.
have-
I mean, there's a lot more land out there than people think. Oh, there's buildings that are or places that are underdeveloped. It's like
Yeah.
going into a town that's underdeveloped.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the big towns in the greater Boston area.
Yeah.
People are buying the older homes, knocking them down and building. You know, they're paying $700 for a house, knocking it down and building a $3 million house.
yeah,
Or what they're doing in
Well,
Boston right now, they're knocking down buildings and building these high-rise
Yeah,
buildings.
right.
No
Parking
one's-
lots,
No
the
one's
same
talking
thing.
that. Right. No one's talking that in Chelmsford, but
Right,
it's
yeah.
that same concept
Yes,
of
absolutely.
replacing with a taller building.
And I think to answer your question, and it's not in my purview really, but I think they do have to sell the sizzle a little bit. Sizzle being the amenity packages.
Yes,
The
yeah.
amenities is what's going to
Yeah.
make it, you know.
And I think the reason for that is it's where the workers want to locate. Their biggest concern now from employers is getting a workforce. And that's why you're seeing this push on amenities and everything else, because it's where the workers want to live and work.
Yes,
That's
wow.
why you're seeing the development in Boston with the millennials and so forth in Cambridge, because that's where the millennials want to be. They want to be in that urban environment. So to bring the companies out here, you know, you've got to have the amenities that the workers, you know, because it's the same thing.
Yes.
They got to recruit, and that's what it all comes down to. And if you saw that story in the Globe a couple of weeks ago about the problems that Southern New Hampshire's having, it's that same issue. Is what is it that's going to draw workers to those areas? Because it's a different group of young workers today than it was 20 years ago or
Absolutely.
40 years ago, and that's why the zoning has to be examined to figure out how we keep in touch with the times. It's not what's right or what's wrong. It's sort of what is the market driving.
Yeah, the COID has been a big improvement
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
People
What
have
does
real
that stand for?
community and
Yeah, overlay.
overlay
Industrial
industrial
District.
Yeah.
and it gives them a fast track.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times some of these, being in construction, a lot of these it takes forever to get permitting process. What we do is try to give them a fixed date. You're going to have a yes or no. That's going to be on this date, one way or another.
Nice.
And
That's a major one.
It's a ma-
That's
yeah, it
a
was a
major
major
point.
one.
And I
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but I mean, we have met in the past with big developers from outside the area, and they said they didn't want to.
And in fact, speaking to the housing development that's proposed in the Center that I spoke of earlier, one of their big attractivenesses is they want to be able to come in and get a decision
Right.
within a reasonable period of time.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
2-3 month period as opposed to 9 months or a year. No
Yep.
one's
Yeah.
going to go through that anymore. And so
Yes.
and Henry said, the commercial overlay district in the center is what's making this project potentially viable.
Yes,
Is because
yeah.
you can come in and you can get the business done. Because and I think Jim deals with that every day. Businesses want decisions. They don't want to be tied up
Yeah.
and bogged down. And when you see something happen in Boston, whether it's the Grand Prix or these other things, it just sends the wrong signal that, you know, we're not open for business. You know, it's
Right.
don't go there because the companies don't have the time or don't want to devote the resources to that type of a prolonged
They have to
process.
capitalize on the
they'll
market.
go somewhere else where they
Right.
can get it done
They
quickly.
got to do it.
I also got to give it the online permitting and everything else has really streamlined a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know, everybody hears the bad things that we're doing in town. But there's a lot of good things
Oh,
going
yeah.
on. We've done a
Yeah,
lot of
sure.
things to take and move forward in the last few
Yes.
years too, and we continue to move forward. You know?
Yes, I think we have so much online now. I know on our town website, I get so much information there every day that more and more. And Rena Maloney, our town clerk, is doing a fabulous job communicating a lot to the residents, and I think our town's doing great personally. But,
Yeah.
could I ask, Al, maybe you had a few changes over. You had the school facilities visioning, and you also have a new custodian arrangement. Maybe could you talk about one or both of those, please?
Sure.
A little bit.
The visioning has been going on. We've completed our four-hour visioning sessions.
How did those go? Were they, everybody stayed 4 hours, by the way?
No,
Oh.
there's a core group that stayed through all of them for the 4 hours, and then people came in and left
Yeah.
as they needed to do business.
Yeah.
It took a while to kind of get things going, but when we finished up this last week, there were 5 or 6 plans that we'll put out there, and to be honest, there's a discussion that goes well beyond that. So there was a lot of diversity in terms of where we should go. So I think, to be honest, where we're at is we have a working session coming up in a week or so. I forget what the date is, but it was on the 4 o'clock in the afternoon because it was something I just had.
I think the
booked.
17th at 4 o'clock, Tuesday
So
the 17th.
the process is continuing, but I think a key thing will be what they come out with, and then there are a lot of things that we need to look at beyond, beyond the scope of this. They have a good handle, I think, on the buildings and the status of the buildings, but what spaces are available in town. I think one of the things that we have to get past is I think a lot of people think, we got all these old buildings, how are we going to replace them all at once? Or, we aren't. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to come up with a plan that addresses the present and the future. And even in the present, nothing's going to be online for probably 5 years. And then it will only be a part, in my opinion, it'll only be a part of the solution. So it's going to be over a period of time and planning not only for the present but for the future. The size of the enrollment is going to remain constant pretty much for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And then around 8, 9, 10 it goes up again. So that we can't downsize because of the current situation and then run into an increase in 8 to 10 years.
Could I ask why they think it's going to go up in 8, 10 years or something? Or start going
Well,
up?
it's a combination of things. One of the things that I think is a factor is that they think that the town, parts of it are going to turn over and go to younger families, that we have an aging population in certain communities and so forth.
And some of us may not be here in 8 or 10 years, and then the house will be bought by a 30-year-old with 2 kids or something.
Well, just
Children,
like on 110, because right down the street from me, we have 2 developments there. And the committee's been told it's not going to have big impact, but I live near there. And
Me too.
what you see after about 3 years in the existing
Are you talking about the
Kensington.
new, there's Kensington, you're talking about the new
The 2 new ones.
affordable
David Hedison's
development?
housing.
And that's occupied now, right? Or close
First
to it?
phase is complete.
First
yeah.
phase, great.
But based on what I've seen with Kensington and so forth, after maybe 3 years, then you start to see a whole bunch of kids standing out in front of the development.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that Kensington draws a large ethnic population. They like to be with similar families. And so, there's right just in that one stretch, I'm concerned because the last thing school committees want to do is redistrict because it causes chaos.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned that in the fairly near future, no matter what else goes on, the biom's going to get hit.
Yeah.
People keep telling me no, but I'll go with it. So anyway, that was one of the things that's been going on. In terms of the custodians, we just have, like at the end of last week, posted to hire the people that will be in the buildings under the town.
Yeah.
And so, and we've also, the superintendent's also told Merrimack that they're finishing 2 weeks earlier than they thought they were because the work's been kind of cutting back as they get prepared to leave
So it'd be
anyway.
like mid-June?
When
might-
school lets out. When school
When
lets
school
out.
lets
That's a
out,
good
yeah.
transition,
Yes,
obviously.
yeah.
That's what he's getting at.
Yeah.
So,
Mid-June.
we're pretty optimistic. Another thing that the superintendent's looking at is hiring people that have worked for the town or in private industry who might like to pick up part-time to fill in. He's got a unique thing on the weekends for the high school because the high school's open all the time. And he's got an overlap where one person comes in early and another comes in late, so it's a little bit different. But he also is trying to going to build up this core, if you will, of experienced people who may be retired or want to work part-time, so that when we have big demand, like 2 shows going on, one at the PAC and one over at McCarthy and something else going on, that we'll be able to service them.
Okay.
I think it's a good plan. It's not ideal. I don't think anybody would pass it off as ideal, but compared to where we've been, I think it's a step up, and you do the best you can within the finances that you have. I'm really impressed with the superintendent in terms of moving ahead. You know, we just hired a new special ed person who's a graduate of Chelmsford High School, class of '87, my son's class, which makes me a lot older. But anyway, we still have to hire a human relations person. We have to hire a new business person because Michelle
the business
Crestis,
manager,
which was sad to leave her. We're going to hire a new tech person.
A new, you mean Anne Marie
Technology
Frioli's
director.
position?
Yes,
She's leaving?
yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we've been meeting. This is, you know,
And
last.
legal counsel too. You're on
Oh,
interview.
yeah,
legal
legal
counsel,
yeah,
yeah.
we interviewed 2 legal firms last night. We were interviewing 3 tomorrow.
Wow.
It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to change, because one of the companies that we're going to talk with again is the one that we've been working with. But when we went through all the challenges of last year and even the year before, there were things that some of the committee members weren't thrilled with.
Yeah.
But it was a tough time, and hindsight's always 20/20. You know,
Yeah.
you look back and we should have done it this way. We should have. I think we did something. We took a lot of grief when we hired the superintendent and the new principal of the high school. But if we hadn't hired them, we wouldn't have gotten the quality.
Yes.
You know, so there were a lot of things going on. Some of the things that we're questioning about is how to deal with the media, because the media does play a major role in how the community feels about things. And actually, I think because we've gotten more positive press because you know, things have been pretty good, and
Yes.
we've been moving in a very positive direction.
Yes,
The kids at the high school have had a great year.
Yeah, they
You know, I
have.
wish if
Yeah.
you know if people would just add up all that they've accomplished. One of the things that I think we have to drive home is that in the comparison of towns, and you can argue about which towns should be included, but the group that we're normally compared to, our achievements in the top third and our expenditures in the bottom third.
Wow.
So when people want to bang for their buck, I think
Yes,
they get it
we're
in
getting it in
Chelmsford.
Chelmsford. Thank you, Al. George, I was wondering if you could maybe summarize some top issues in before the Board of Selectmen or coming before the board?
Well, I think the,
Got
I
a
think
dog
we-
hearing on next meeting.
Oh, do we? Oh, no. Do they really?
Yes, we do.
somebody told me before I ran for selectman, one thing you don't want is a dog hearing. Well, I think I've had about 9 of them since I've been on the board.
know.
One was
None of them have been
particularly
easy.
interesting.
You know, none
Yeah,
of
I
them are easy.
remember. Oh.
You know, but no, I think we touched on it. I think the biggest thing is to help, you know, bring the whole town together and to make a plan, you know, that we all agreed on and can live with and
Nice.
and go forward. And then maybe we can promise the people that we can save them some. They'll pay less money in taxes and
Nice.
or, you know,
Positive.
stabilize them.
Thanks.
And have the quality and help the schools and help. I mean, and what Al said, I like to say. I mean, some of the kids are performing in things that most people in town, including myself in a lot of cases, they don't even know that some of these activities these kids take place in, and they're topping the list on a lot statewide.
Could I put in a plug for a place where we publicize it all the time on the Chelmsford
Yeah.
news page? Al, you know
No,
that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And because almost every day I check Chelmsford Public Schools on Facebook. If they have something and there's a performance or whatever, I always share it on the Chelmsford news page, which has over 4,000 members now, and it's growing very rapidly. So, and I always publish the good news about the police department or all of our DPW, whatever it is. And we have a very positive communication page there on Chelmsford News. So thank you, George. Jim, I was wondering if you could quickly summarize what some of the major issues coming up or what's going on with the Finance Committee, basically.
Well, as I said earlier, we won't be meeting again until late July, early August, and then we'll start in earnest end of August, beginning of September, looking at what the warrant might look like. As Paul mentioned, there are going to be a lot of interesting things in the town meeting, and so there'll be a lot of those warrant articles that will have financial aspects to them that we'll have to have the proponents come in and discuss and really get a feel for what that looks like financially for the town. But as George said, the economic development of the town is key. It is something that's needed, and we need to discuss as soon as possible because we need to look at revenue sources in order to handle all these things coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Henry, can I ask you some of the top things coming up before the planning board? If
Well, we got 3 different things that we're working on for Springtown meeting. You know, 129 is going to be there
you mean for the fall town meeting?
for the fall town meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah.
We have different things that are coming up, so we're working on a bunch of different things. I don't want to take we try to put out public hearings. We had to try to people get there. Is it going to get there or not? I really don't know. It's all up to the voters. We definitely listen to them. We take public feedback, and that's how you get coming up to a decision. Whether we like it or not, we are servants of the community.
Any new big developments? We have the 54 apartment units
Yeah.
in the center that
And the-
may be coming up. Anything else? Any?
The Sunny Acres,
Sunny
which
Oh,
is
Sunny
200
Acres, right, on Route 129.
Yeah.
Any-
Those
not
are the
all
big
the
ones
big-
that are really coming up.
Yeah.
That's about it.
You have the small one on High Street with these $900,000 million homes
Yeah.
on High Street. That's a small development, right?
That's
A few
already
houses
gone. That's
there.
already passed
Already
us.
passed, yeah.
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 And then, that's,
How about the Mill Road, by the way? I know it's not in your purview per se, but the 40B at the end of Mill Road,
They haven't pulled
haven't
permits.
permits,
They haven't
nothing.
pulled permits yet.
yeah.
so it's just in delay, but it's not
Right.
because of us or
No,
our town.
no.
It's just, wow, I'm surprised because there's such a demand for apartments right now,
Yep,
right?
But they
I
haven't pulled
think.
permits. Yeah.
No.
Wow, well, thank you, thanks. Thanks, Henry. Paul, I wonder if we can get a quick update on a few things. One, the dog park, is that going to be opening very soon?
Yeah,
or something?
I would say they're 98% complete construction. If you could drive by there, you can see they're waiting for the grass to take root, much like you would if you were growing in a new field and so forth. The irrigation work has got a few weeks left. And speaking to Vivian Merrill last evening and so forth, we're talking a mid-June opening.
So
Yeah,
maybe
so
a
probably
month
mid to late
away.
June. Oh yeah, no, they're
But-
definitely
but-
before, right around when school lets out, I think,
Great.
and then
A
they'll
lot
let
of
the dogs
people are
out.
looking forward to it, as you know from the Chelmsford news page.
Yep.
A lot of people
That'll be going well.
who love having it.
Yep.
And the sidewalk in the center that was worked on this week, it's just about
Yeah, the
completed
crosswalk is
now.
complete
The crosswalk.
by
So-
Fishbones. That has
Crosswalk?
been reinstalled. Yep.
And how about right nearby the Triangle Land where the mobile
Yep.
station was in the
There'll be
center?
a new sidewalk there, and then
A new
we're
side-
waiting for for Rudy, the property owner of the former mobile station in the home that still exists there between the library. We're looking to see if he'll be bringing forth a redevelopment plan.
Yes.
And then obviously that would
We
involve the
expect
planning
them
board.
to, but
So
we don't know what it is
We have
yet,
not seen
right?
the plan
I've
on
been
that.
keeping in touch with Evan Blansky as we all have.
Right.
By the way, are these jobs going to be posted for the school department that Al was talking about, some of the jobs?
The custodian
Yeah, the
jobs
custodians
are
are
already
posted. They already
posted.
are posted.
Yeah, because I like to share that on the Chelmsford
Yeah.
news page. So it's on the town website?
It's on the school's website, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the school's
website.
the town website doesn't have it?
No,
Oh, maybe
you
that's
go to the
why I
school
didn't
link.
see it. I got to go to the school website.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then how about the new restaurant's going to be open, the Andiamo
Yep.
at the
We
Center Plaza?
understand that'll be opening up the week going into Memorial Day, so we're talking a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks, great. And then
Yeah.
the new Greek restaurant will be nearby
June.
there.
It'll be in June, right next-
at the
right
same
next- same plaza,
right
yep.
near.
And then
we
soon
have
there'll be a Mexican restaurant,
Mexican
we think,
restaurant where
probably
the old-
in August. We
where
think.
Fresh Chow was
Fresh
in the
Chow,
center.
Yep, exactly. So there'll be a lot of places to go to in the center of the
Yeah, which
community.
is great. I
That's-
love
and then
to
we're
see-
hoping somebody will come forward and occupy Jesse's place. You know,
Oh,
because
right.
that's now sitting vacant, but we haven't
Nobody
seen
has-
anything.
You know, it's a hard place because of the parking.
But there's
and-
been a long tradition of a diner there,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
hopefully
I know.
somebody
Remember
will
Jack's
come forward.
Diner for many
Exactly.
years was there.
And then we're also looking forward, I'm sure Henry as well, is for the redevelopment of the old CVS location
Yep.
in the center. But we haven't seen anybody come
We
forward
have no
with a plan.
proposal on that
Not yet.
No.
Oh.
But, we have some open space, so we
Right.
got a lot of opportunities to hopefully we can bring somebody in to fill these places. You know,
Yes, yeah.
And restaurants are always good because we always like to eat.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do. Brick House is doing great in the
Brick House
center,
is
by
doing
the
well.
way,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
I remember before it was Brick House, there was another restaurant which really didn't do too well. I don't know if it's a bike path or what, but for some reason, the Brick House is going gangbusters with.
Yep.
Even this Sunday morning, I noticed the parking lot was filled. But thank you all. Time flew by. Thank you, George, for being
My
here
pleasure,
again. I
Tom.
appreciate it.
I appreciate being here.
And thank you very much, Henry Parlee, for being here.
You're welcome.
And thank you very
Thank you,
much,
Tom,
Town
for having
Manager
me.
Paul Cohen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim Clancy. First time in the show. Hopefully
Yep.
you had a good time.
I did, thank you.
You did a great job. Thank you. And thank you very much, Al Thomas.
Oh, my pleasure.
Great job.
Went fast.
And thanks for running for chairman again this year, being chairman George too, third time. And thank you, our wonderful crew. We have Tom and we have Meredith and we have Larry, our wonderful camera crew. We also have Pete Padula and we have Bilu Tari who do a great job helping us. And Tara helps us out once in a while too. And thank you all for watching the show. If you have any comments on the show, please send me an email at tcristiano@comcast.net. I hope to see you around town on the 4th of July and all our town events. And then this is the last show for the season, so I hope to see you all again in September. Ciao.